How do you guys think we're gonna look post Labor Day at around October? I think we're gonna look really good. Like, so far, barring like an immense fuck up from the Kamala Harris camp, like, Donald Trump is currently like circling the drain. He's desperate. He is in a real bad spot poll numbers wise. Um, the attacks on him for being old are exponentially more effective. And like he's going down. Like, I mean, you cannot make up some of these stories. Like, he's bringing on like a guy who was fired for assaulting a woman. He, as his campaign manager, he is flying on Epstein's plane. Like, his vice presidential pick, when they're making like their whole entire campaign about like hating trans people and trans women in particular, and like his and calling like trans people groomers and like cross-dressers groomers and stuff. And look, his vice presidential pick winds up having pics of himself in drag. Like, they are constantly failing. And you know what? Just real quick, because it's funny. Guys, JD Vance cannot help himself. He cannot go like one press appearance without being one of the weirdest little guys you've ever seen. Here, let's see if you can identify what might be a bit weird about this.
Okay. Sir.
Senator Vance, Chris Cameron at the New York Times. You were talking about the relationship between crime and immigration, and my question is on that issue.
Please.
In an interview when you were running for Senate in September 2021, you were speaking with Jack Murphy, and you were talking about previous waves of immigration to the United States. You said the following: you had this massive wave of primarily Italian, Irish, and German immigration, and that had its problems and that had its consequences. You pointed to these problems as being higher crime rates, ethnic enclaves, and inter-ethnic conflict. Should the United States have prescribed similar policies to what you're proposing now, including mass deportation, to deal with those issues?
Well, first of all, I also said there were a lot of benefits to that wave of immigration, but has anybody ever seen the movie Gangs of New York? That's what I'm talking about. We know that when you have these massive ethnic enclaves forming in our country, it can sometimes lead to higher crime rates. Okay.
Guys, do you have any idea how out of your way you have to go in 2024 to be as racist as a man from like the 1820s? Do you have any idea how far off the road you have to swerve? You've got to build yourself a fucking time machine to reach that far. Hey, you know how it worked out with those Irish and Italians, right? Like, we allowed them to form those ethnic enclaves, and then crime went up, and Italians are just inherently criminal now, apparently. Like, you guys understand what he's saying there, right? Like, it was bad that we allowed the Irish into the country. He's literally saying that. And he does preface it by saying there were some benefits, but when you allow these ethnic enclaves to form, crime can go up. And like, yeah, but also, what if we gave them social support and, allowed them to integrate into society a little bit better? And also, like, even if crime did go up, I would consider like Italian Americans to be a pretty gigantic benefit to American society, or Polish immigrants or Irish immigrants. I think they contributed a lot to our society. I think immigrants in general contribute a lot to our society, and I feel like the example he's providing here, upon closer inspection, just solidifies the point he's trying to argue against. They can't make their arguments, man. Next, this guy will be talking about anti-inoculation. Well, yeah, he's an anti-vaxxer. He's running with one of the anti-vaxxers, yeah. Ethnic enclaves like segregation. Well, so often what would happen when immigrants came to the United States is that they would tend to live in a centralized area with people that shared like their language so that they could like get more access to services and whatnot. They could still like function in society. They could like, you know, have a common religion, stuff like that, right? That's not really that surprising for first generation immigrants. But that did turn into segregation, you know, the no Irish allowed signs and whatnot. So it's one of those things where like some of it is a segregation by like economic means. Another aspect of it is kind of self-imposed, and a third aspect of it is that other people impose the segregation on them. But like these can all happen at different rates, you know. Never understood how they at all the conspiranoic content and never realized that capitalism is destroying them. Well, it's because the conspiracy content is a distraction from the core problem, you know? Like the conspiracy singularity provides ready-made answers that lead people away from the actual root problem, which is the economic system we're all trapped in and forced to participate in, you know? They are led away from the answer actively by the conspiracy singularity. Yeah, also a very good point, Gamer G. JD Vance is literally mentioning a movie as his evidence. Yeah, you remember in that fictional film Gangs of New York? When there was all that crime in that crime movie? Good evidence. Good evidence. Admissible in court, even.